Hey YouTube, it is League Turnover Day. So it is Great League, which is running again, and also Sunshine Cup, which is running again, which happened the week before, 2 weeks ago now. So we are going to be looking at the top teams for Great League, and by top teams, I mean the teams that I ran the past week. So for those of you who are either new to this channel or haven't watched some of these videos, I ran from 2440 to 2800 using these 8 teams that you're going to see here, right? So we're looking at 350 ELO with 8 different teams. So I have videos on every single one of them, so you can check my video or Great League playlist. They are all there. They will give you in-depth analysis of how to use the team, and I timestamp those with different leads. So if you want to know how to play a different lead and I played against it, they will show you how to do this. But I will quickly go over these 8 teams here, why they're strong, how thought process behind them, and just give you a quick idea of how to use them. And that, but again, full in-depth, go to those videos. So team number 1. Kanto, Ninetales, Lickitung, Lantern. This is basically what I just called a full meta team. Lantern. So there was the debate about Spark, Spark, Nerf, or Buff. Basically, having played it multiple times now, and having played Water Gun Lantern, the Spark, I believe, is overall a buff for 95% of the matchups, and a nerf for 5% of matchups. So basically, if you are in a matchup where Spark is neutral or super effective, Lantern got buffed. If you were in a matchup where Spark is resisted, Lantern got nerfed because it now takes longer to get to Surf. So if your Sparks aren't doing the damage on the front end, it takes longer to get to Surf, then you're going to be in a worse matchup, for example, against Swampert. Whereas if you're in a neutral matchup where Spark is now adding up a ton, you can often just go Spark Surf in matchups that you would have to normally go like Spark Thunderbolt before. So that is my thoughts on Lantern. Lickitung is now just the OG safe swap in this league, and I will talk about how to counter that momentarily because it is just super, super strong. It's basically, if you don't get something that resists the lick on it, it'll just either grab a shield or keep it super close. Even like Metacham is the hardest answer. Like licks are super effective. You can get multiple body slams off as long as they don't have a dynamic punch. And Kanto Ninetales has been a staple of this channel since the beginning. I really think it has a strong place in the meta because it can destroy what is now a lot of grass and a Sandslash in this meta. Plus, it actually does very, very well against Lickitung, Metacham, Gligar. Right? You can actually hold in with all those. So it's a nice sneaky Pokemon to use if you haven't used it. So basically 3 super strong Pokemon. The answer to Lickitung. So if you are sick of seeing Lickitung safe swaps, here is the perfect answer to this. Vigoroth, a normal type Pokemon that has counter. So you are able to dominate that mid game. That you can do it one of 2 ways. If you go watch my channel, you can either one body slam and counter all the way down. They will get 2 body slams off you, but you will not be taken out because the licks are double resisted. You will come out with 2 body slams and a little bit of health, or you throw the second body slam, you come out with much more health and 1 body slam still loaded. So you are in such a great position if they switch into a Lickitung. Sableye on the lead and Superior in the back. Overall, a pretty balanced team, right? A bit of problem against like a flyer, right? Because you have counter user Vigoroth and Superior with mostly relies on its grass move. So a little tricky against flyers, but Vigoroth is a very, very, very strong answer to what is the current meta. And again, like Vigoroth, except for being weak against like other fighters like Metacham, it does well against all the other meta too, because you're going to see in the video, like Body Slam is so spammy with the counter. This one, I focused on Umbreon, but there's kind of 2 focuses here. There's Umbreon and Frostlass. So again, Umbreon was kind of a direct answer to Lickitung, being able to just not wall Lickitung, but you're so tanky, you resist the licks, and it's going to take like, I don't know, feels like 20 body slams, but it's probably like 4 or 5 body slams that you can take on Umbreon there. So it's a nice answer in the back. Plus, even in bad matchups, it's just so tanky that you can generally hang in there for a while. And then Frostlass, talk about a Gligar Metacham killer, right? Double super effective Ice on Frostlass, super effective Shadow Ball on Metacham, resisting the counters. Just a great sneaky Pokemon. Obviously, you're going to be very weak to Rock, so that's where Registeel comes in. This team is double weak to Fighting and double weak to Fire, so just be aware of that if you are going to use this team. But Again, I go over that in the video. This one is focused on Dragonite. And Dragonite's starting to make its way in the Play Pokemon Championships. And it's because you are a flyer, so you resist the fighting that comes with Medicham. You resist like the ground type moves that every Pokemon seems to have now, right? Specifically, the ground moves that like Dig on Gligar, they can only go with the wing attacks. And you have a superpower which will hit super effective on a Sandslash, Lickitung, Umbreon, and in neutral matchups where Dragon Breath does not resist Dragon Breath, Dragon Claw actually just does a ton of damage. So if you're going to run Dragonite, you need to pair with 2 bulky Pokemon because you need all the shields for Dragonite because it is so glassy in the Great League. So Defense Deoxys, Lickitung. Again, Lickitung stays off. Defense Deoxys as an answer to its... You can use Medicham in its place. Well, Medicham actually makes it a little trickier because why I put Defense Deoxys is because it's basically Medicham without the weakness to Fairy, which you are weak to Fairy on Dragonite. So being double weak to Fairy could be a little risky, so that's why I went Defense Deoxys, but basically kind of plays a similar-ish role. My favorite core, Swampert and Sableye, and then when I put up this video, I was like, yeah, this core's been around for like since season 2. It has, and it's been dominating since that early, and it's dominating now. Swampert Sableye is my favorite core to go to. It just covers pretty much everything. Your toughest is going to be grass, right? So I have a steel in the back Togedemaru. You can just use something else to cover grass in the back. Like an old play was like Skarmory to cover grass in the back. So you could use some flyer to cover grass to like really make this a super balanced Swampert flyer Sableye team. But yeah, the Swampert Sableye core is just so strong. Swampert is just so good in this meta outside of grass. So just keep it away from grass and it will stay in pretty much. I mean, it's going to have a tough time against Dragon, but basically any sort of neutral matchup, it can just Mudshot, Hydro Cannon, keep you in any matchup there. Togedemaru is my favorite. Again, it's very, very, very tricky to use if you have not used it before. Go watch my video on how to use it and what makes it so strong, because I can sweep teams with that if done properly. A lot of Sableye safe swap. I'm just so comfortable Sableye safe swap, but if you don't have Sableye, I think Umbreon is a fine safe swap instead. Like Gligar is on the lead here, but Gligar can be a safe swap. But this one is actually showcasing Carbink, because I've used Carbink earlier in the season, and I hated it. I'm like, this is like Bastiodon. It's slightly better than Bastiodon because you have the Moonblast, but it's not. It's actually it's because I used it on the lead before, but it's a very, very, very strong closer here. So having Carbink in the back, Gligar to grab shields. You are double weak to like water here. Gligar and Carbink are both weak to water. You can kind of get around it with, you can actually combo it. Like it's a little tricky, but you can combo it there. Yeah, but Carbink, if your opponent doesn't have like a direct Carbink answer, and they're down to like 1 or 2 Pokemon, Carbink is going to be quite a strong answer in the back there. This is my moveset team. So Ember, Kanto, Ninetales. I've used Fire Spin for the majority of my career here. I'm now using Ember, and I think Ember is the better move. Medicham with Dynamic Punch and a Sandslash with Powder Snow. So this is a video that you need to go watch if you want to see what the pros and cons are. Just to give you just a simple picture of it. Dynamic Punch is going to dominate. Dynamic Punch is harder hitting and a little faster energy to get to. So that's why it's much stronger and a lot of people are using it. Plus, looking in the meta, there's like a lot of steals. There's a lot of ice typing. There's a lot of normal typing. So Dynamic Punch will just one-shot those. The trade-off is you're going to lose the mirror match if they have Psychic. And Pokemon that resist fighting, that would otherwise take neutral to Psychic, you're going to have a tough time with. Specific examples are Ghost, right? So if they have a Ghost Pokemon, and in the worst case scenario is like a Frostlass where the Ice Punch is also resisted, if they just have a Ghost Pokemon, you really can't throw much. So that's a trade-off there. A Sandslash, same energy, same stab damage as Shadow Claw. Basically, you're trading off. You do worse against steals because the Shadow Claw would be neutral. Powder Snow is resisted. You do way better against normal typing like Lickitung because the Powder Stones are neutral, whereas Shadow Claw is double resisted. So you do better against Darks. You do better against normal typing. You do better against Gligar, like double super, like ground and flyer. There's a lot of strengths in Powder Snow right now. Trade-offs are Steel. Obviously, doing super effective on Psychic and Ghost with Shadow Claw is better. So it's just basically how you're going to build a team, what you're looking for there. And the last one is Pelipper. Again, you're seeing a lot of similarities. This past week, why you're seeing so many similar Pokemon is because I'm trying. There is tonight the first Ottawa ever local tournament for Show 6 Pick 3, and I'm doing Toronto Regionals in 2 weeks. So I'm just testing out Pokemon that I want to potentially bring to these things. Gligar, Swampert, already gone over. Pelipper, very highly rated, very glassy, very bait dependent. Has the potential to wreak havoc though. The Wing Attack, Shadow Ball, Wing Attack, Weather Ball, super spammy combo. Hurricane, won't one-shot a lot of things, but it's like the bulky Pokemon. If you can land a Hurricane on like Lickitung or Defense Deoxys, stuff like that, then you can just go like Hurricane, Weather Ball. So landing one of those is good, but kind of bait dependent in those situations. But again, Wing Attack, Weather Ball, very spammy, but a little glassy Pokemon. Anyways, those are the 8 teams that got me to 2,800. I will be playing Great League all this week. I'll do top teams for Sunshine Cup because it was on the previous, like 2 weeks ago now. So I'll just do top teams this afternoon. But I would suspect that most people are probably going to play Open Great League. So we will pump out a bunch more videos because I still have like 3 or 4 videos from this past week for Great League. So we'll pump those out over the weekend and on to next week. So that is it. I appreciate you watching. Let me know in the comments below if there's any teams that are working for you. And if you want to submit a team, link in the description. I would like to showcase other teams that are working. So appreciate watching. Hit the subscribe button if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.